and haunted Juno's unreligious hate. I expelled in exile, left my father's sword. I bore along labors both by sea and land, and all this before I won the Latin realm and built the glorious destined town.
Rome. If any nation deserves the privilege of claiming a divine ancestry, that nation is our own. When we declared that Mars himself was our first parent and father of Romulus, the man who founded our city, all the other nations of the world might as accept it as readily as they accept Rome's imperial dominion.
Good afternoon. Welcome to famous men of Rome. Please allow me, the legendary hero Aeneas,
and me, the famous historian Livy.
We will to take you on the Roman age of the three parts. We will chart the Roman ages of the kings,
the glory of the Republic,
and the power of the Western Empire. Please enjoy the performance.
I'm the descendant of the brave Aeneas, who sailed the great sea in search of a new home, a new Troy, a country to one day rule the world. I founded Rome. My name is Romulus. Welcome one, welcome all. Come to my city for refuge. Be you fugitive, wanderer, or refugee, you shall find a home in this city. Rome is a city worthy of your desires, O admirable Latin race. We will be the forebearers of truly honorable, majestic, and brave men. You have chosen to pursue greatness, and for that you are truly praiseworthy. You are truly praiseworthy. Today you are laying the foundations of victory, dignity, peace, and love.
Thank you, great Romulus. We are forever your servants, soldiers, and loyal companions.
But tell us, where shall we find good wives to marry?
None will come to us because we are known as criminals and vagrants.
Who on earth will marry us? What do we need that we cannot steal from our neighbors? We'll invite our neighbors, the Sabines, to a festival with games and feasting. At the sound of the horn, every man will take a woman and ride back to Rome.
And this they did. Causing King Tautius of the Sabines to make war. But he and Romulus, with the grace of the Sabine women, were able to make peace before much harm was done. Rome prospered, and a senate was formed to govern it. Romulus was the first king of what would become a grand civilization.
Rome became a civilization that not only acted grandly, but looked grand. Many splendid buildings were erected by the great King Tarquin.
I am Tarquin, and to anyone with the name Tarquin, power is the breath of life. To some, our name is an ill omen, dangerous to live in. But I did many great things. See my racetrack, the Circus Maximus.
After Tarquin, a man named Servius Tullius ruled Rome with goodness and gentleness. But another man, a son of Tarquin, plotted against Servius Tullius. His name was Tarquin the Proud.
This impostor, Servius Tullius, will not stand in my way any longer. I shall over his dead body.
And so Tarquin did as he said. Servius Tullius was killed. Tarquin the Proud became king. He would be the last king of Rome because he was such a cruel tyrant. One of his sons, named Sextus, insulted a young lady of the royal court named Lucretia. She was so ashamed she plunged a dagger into her heart. At this outrage, a leader arose to defy the tyranny of Sextus and Tarquin the Proud. His name was Junius Brutus.
By this girl's blood, never more taste till the time it wrongs her. And by the gods who swear that with sword and fire and whatever else in my strength to my arm, I will pursue this Tarquinius the Proud, his wicked wife, and all his children. Never again will I let them or any other man be king in Rome.
We will not suffer one man to rule Rome. Down with Tarquin the tyrant. No more kings!
Junius Brutus was given as splendid a funeral as those early days of the Republic could afford. But even greater tribute to him was the nation's sorrow, of which the most poignant expression was given by the women of Rome who mourned him for a year as a father. It was their special tribute to his fierce championship of a woman's honor.
Thus the age of kings ended. The people would suffer no single man to rule Rome. Instead, they put their faith in the rule of the Senate. But Rome's ousted King Tarquin would not go down without a fight. He joined forces with Lars Porsena, king of Clusium, to try to take back his throne. Porsena and his army marched to Rome, but encountered some difficulty.
The only way for the Etruscans to enter our city is across the Sublican Bridge. Consul, what should we do?
We must cut down the bridge. It is the only way to save our city. As many who can begin dismantling the bridge.
The Etruscans are in sight. We're running out of time.
If only someone could hold them off while we finish tearing down the bridge.
Who could do that? A whole army against one man?
Consul, give me 2 good men, and I will defend the bridge and hold the enemy at bay.
3 men to hold back thousands?
We can easily defeat 3 Romans. The city will be ours!
Spurius, Titus, the bridge is about to fall. Run back to the other side. I will stay and defend it.
The bridge is down, Horatius.
Round turned he as not deigning those craven ranks to see, not spake to Lars Porsena, to Sextus not spake he. But he saw on Latinus the white porch of his home, and looked the noble river that flows by the towers of Rome.
O Tiber, Father Tiber, to whom the Romans pray, or Romans' life, or Romans' arms, take thou in charge this day.
So he spake and speaking, sheathed the good sword by his side,
With shouts and clapping and leaping, I returned to my home through the river gate, borne on the shoulders of a crowd.
Horatius was well rewarded for his bravery and had a statue erected in his honor. Porsena decided to keep his army on the other side of the Tiber. His plan was to besiege Rome, preventing food from being sent in, thus forcing the Romans to surrender. But there was one thing Porsena had not accounted for: Gaius Mucius.
I've devised a way to save our city. I'm going to march right into the Etruscan camp, find Crescent and kill them. That should put an end to this siege. Here's your pay. Go tell your troops to prepare for guard to meet at the river. Distribute this money to your men and report back to me.
Oh no! He's killed the secretary!
Hurry! Why have you done this? I'm a Roman citizen. I came here to kill you because you are an enemy of Rome. I have failed. But others are coming who will not fail. Your life will be in constant danger, Lars Crescent, and one day you will be killed and then still suspected. I shall burn you to death if you do not tell me all of Rome's plans to kill me. Behold how little Romans care for telling what things to defend our country. I am a maid. This man's heart is fearless and cannot be bound. Set him free. In return for your kindness, I now tell you of my own free will, but I am not under threat of punishment. Now that 300 young men have pledged an oath to kill you, the lot fell first to you. I have failed. But more will come until Rome is finally free of me.
Porsena was so frightened at these words that he immediately sent messengers to make peace.
Peace did not last. War broke open with the Aequians to the east. The Romans were easily winning. However, in a feigned retreat during one battle, the Aequians lured some Roman horsemen into a narrow ravine. It was a trap. One horseman did manage to escape. He returned to Rome to inform the Senate of the dire situation.
We were following the Aequians in pursuit when they led us into a ravine. They barricaded the exits and most of the army was trapped. The Aequians are surrounding those horsemen at the tops of the hills. There's a little grass, sprung water, and not much food. If we don't act quickly, they will die.
For a while, the Senate saw little hope, but then one senator spoke up.
There is only one man who can save us. Let us go to Cincinnatus.
And so they did. Cincinnatus shall tell you the rest of the story.
When the senators came to find me, I was plowing my field. Because Rome needed me, I gathered faithful men for my army. Before the sun set that evening, we marched to the hills where the Romans were trapped. In the quiet stillness of dawn, we formed ranks around the Aequians. It was now they who were trapped. They fought desperately, but in vain. Rome was victorious again. I chose to spare their lives, but not without them passing under the yoke. The joy of my countrymen was so great they wanted to make me king. I was crowned with the laurel wreath and paraded into the city. I knew my role, so I gave up my power and went back to my army.
When the Roman Republic was under a great threat, they appointed a dictator to have supreme power, but only for as long as it took to secure Rome's safety. Our next famous Roman is Camillus. Camillus was a great soldier and was made dictator of Rome in a time of great danger. But he ran into trouble on one occasion. Camillus was accused by leaders of being greedy with the spoils of war. Such a crime was very serious, and it went to trial. Seeing a trial before the tribunal as a disgrace, he chose a life of exile. As he passed out from Rome's gates, he prayed the gods would do something so terrible that the Romans would be forced to call for his return.
My prayer was answered. The Romans were invaded by the Gauls. The Gauls swooped down into Italy, defeating all Roman armies along the way. Most of the Romans deserted the city, leaving it wide open for the Gauls to pillage. They destroyed most of the city, but could not drive out a small band of Roman senators and fighters from their stronghold in the capital. Meanwhile, the people who had fled sought me out. As I had prayed, they pleaded for me to return to Rome and deliver them from this disaster. I arrived just in time. Chief of the Gauls, Brandus, was demanding the Senate in gold in order to leave them alone. This is what I told him. We Romans defend our country not with gold, but with steel. And so it wasn't the gold that saved Rome that day, but the sword of Camillus.
The Roman Republic grew in strength and became engaged in a series of wars with the North African city of Carthage. Rome's greatest threat during these Punic Wars was Hannibal, the great general of Carthage. He traveled thousands of miles through Hispania and over the great Italian Alps. Rome's only hope was the great general Scipio Africanus.
When Carthage sought to conquer Rome a second time, it sent Hannibal across the Alps with 4 elephants to crush our army. His brother, Hasdrubal, was the first to see my sword when I held it from Italia. Hannibal would also witness its cold gleam when it drove his elephants to madness. I gave this short sword, the gladius, to my fellow Romans to pierce the ranks of our enemies as long as Rome would wield it.
Romans began to grow lazy under the protection their armies provided them. There were even periods of peace with Carthage, but not all Romans trusted their North African rivals.
Delindo est Carthago. I am Senator Cato. In my opinion, Carthage must be destroyed. I felt so strongly about the destruction of Carthage. I ended every single speech I gave in the Senate with those very words. Delindo est Carthago. I lived during a time when Romans were losing sight of what really mattered. We were growing fat and lazy. We spent too much money on things we didn't really need, and it was stealing from our strength as a nation. I chose to live a different life. I lived by the old frugality. I ate plain food, drank cheap wine, had very few servants. I was made censor, and with my newfound power I fought against frivolity and waste. People do not need to get in round carriages, they can walk. I levied taxes against items Romans held dear, like fancy furniture. And other non-essential items like jewelry. Delindo est Carthago.
The military might of Rome grew. With it grew the power and popularity of army generals. Leaders like Julius Caesar and Pompey the Great made alliances to solidify control of the republic.
I am the great Julius Caesar, who led armies to conquer Hispania and Gaul, and wrote texts in each of them so they could be translated by Latin students for generations.
The whole of Gaul is divided into 3 parts, one of which the Belgae inhabit.
Stand the country Roma.
The Aquitani another, and the third a people who in their own language are called Celts, but in ours Gauls.
I am the king of great warriors. Ho, ho, ho!
Pompey was a great leader of my day, and I made alliance with him. But I would share power for only so long. Pompey was from the nobility, the upper class, but I was a man of the people, and they loved me. My greatest ambition was to rule Rome, and only Pompey stood in my way. My army waited on the edge of Italy, at the far side of the river Rubicon, and Pompey denied my entrance. Either I would disband my army and give up my ambition, or I would defy Pompey and cross the river. I chose to cross the Rubicon. The die had been cast.
Caesar marched into Italy without the slightest challenge. He crossed the Rubicon, violating Roman laws, prohibiting a Roman army inside its own borders. Even so, he was celebrated by the people. They took the power of the Senate and gave it to him. And that power went to his head.
So in the world,
All the while, the Senate was planning their revenge. On the Ides of March, Caesar was in the Senate pontificating about his greatness.
O Caesar, has been left over with us. Great Caesar, doth not Julius Brutus kneel?
Speak hands for me.
You too, that too, protect?
After the assassination of Julius Caesar, there was one who denounced his murderers. His name was Mark Antony.
Friends, Romans, countrymen, this deed will be avenged. We will not let Caesar's death be in vain. No, I will use it to my advantage. It is Mark Antony who will rule Rome now. Come, let us find the rest of these conspirators. Yes, and bring them to justice.
Like Pompey and Caesar before, Antony made an alliance with Caesar's descendant Octavius. But it would not last long.
I am Gaius Julius Caesar Octavius, the great nephew of Julius Caesar. I was destined to be Caesar's heir, and my former ally Mark Antony was not going to stop me. Our fleets were battling off the coast of Actium in Greece. And suddenly, in the heat of battle, Cleopatra, the queen of Egypt, and Antony's companion suddenly pulled their silver oars to flee. Antony chased after her, disgracefully abandoning his soldiers. I, Octavius, was now without rival. I quickly rose to supreme power as Emperor Caesar Augustus, bringing peace and order. My reign saw the flourishing of arts, contentment among the common people, and the birth of Christ. It was the beginning of a great Roman peace, the Pax Romana.
The emperors who succeeded Augustus were powerful and intelligent, but they were only occasionally good. The moral decay of Rome is often typified by the rule of Nero. Under this evil man, the Christian church saw great persecution.
Christians, a strange lot, believing in some man called Jesus who died as their Lord. Well, I showed you my lordship. One night in Rome, flames went up all over the city. I could not help but be reminded of Troy and its fall. It inspired me to sing and play my harp. Afterwards, I was blamed for starting the fire. So I had the Christians blamed. They were put to death in many ways. Some said I was cruel. Some even pitied the Christians. But I never deserved what happened to me. Why, I had done so many things to bring beauty and art to Rome. But I was not appreciated. When conspirators came against me, I fled and had to fall upon my own sword. What an artist the world lost that day.
Years passed and Rome found itself being ruled by several different so-called emperors who vied for control over the empire. Constantine was one of them. On the day before the Battle of the Milvian Bridge, he was praying. God sent Constantine a vision of a cross of light in the heavens at midday with an inscription telling him,
By this sign you shall conquer.
Accordingly, I called on God with earnest prayer and supplications that he would reveal to me who he was, and he stretched forth his right hand to help me with my present difficulties. And while I was thus praying with fervent entreaty, a most marvelous sign appeared to me from the heavens. About
which followed me on this expedition and witnessed the miracle.
Constantine made the official religion Christianity of the Roman Empire. By then, the empire had been divided between the east and the west. Constantine moved his government to the east, to the city that would be named after him, Constantinople. This division of the empire, along with the new official religion, Christianity, did much to benefit the church in new ways. However, it did not prevent the West from being overrun by the Gauls.
Those who worshipped the old pagan gods blamed this new Christian religion for Rome's fall. In North Africa, the Christian bishop Augustine famously responded to this accusation. Was it Christianity's fault that Rome was sacked by the Gauls? No, Rome's own pride and immorality were the source of its trouble. But Christianity offered citizenship in the city of God, where sin is covered by Christ and where the pride of man is redeemed by the love of God.
Christianity is the religion worthy of your desires, O admirable Roman race, the progeny of Junius Brutus, Horatius, of Cato, and of Augustus. Choose now what you will pursue, and your praise may be not in yourself, but in the true God, in whom there is no error. Incomparably more glorious than Rome is that heavenly city in which victory you have truth, for dignity, holiness, for peace, felicity, for life, eternity.